Hey, it's Kaylee. I'm once again making bread, and I want to talk about Overwatch's new season and the new patch notes that they released with the season. First, I want to say that I'm not going over everything in the patch notes because a lot of it I don't really care about. They also made some minor changes to certain characters for 6v6. I will not be addressing these changes because until they actually get to the root of the problem of 6v6, I don't really care. The first thing I would like to go over is the perks that they made a part of base kits. These base kit add-ons include Echo, Pharah, Reaper, Mercy, and Lifeweaver. Obviously, these perks being a part of base kits would need some nerfing in order to make it fair. They didn't do anything to compensate for Echo's perk being a part of her base kit, but because it's so minor, I don't care. I think it should be a part of her base kit anyway. Lifeweaver was actually buffed. He used to have a perk that cleansed upon grip, which they briefly got rid of. That perk is now part of his base kit, and even though I'm an Ana main, I surprisingly agree with this because who says Kiri gets to have all the fun? But when we look at Reaper, we see that he has a decreased cooldown. They reduced Pharah's explosion damage slightly. They did a lot to Mercy, specifically her perk, now base kit, Flash Heal. Mercy has not been truly viable in a while, and although I don't want another Moth meta, I do think it was necessary that she received some changes. Her movement was a bit intense, and also I think she's needed some sort of burst healing for a while. Now that she has a burst heal as a part of her main kit, I feel like she could be viable in a lot more scenarios. Mercy mains are going to have to get used to flying not as fast, which may make them want to rethink their strategy on how they move. The next character I want to talk about is Roadhog. They got rid of his Invigorate perk, which allowed him to be 30% faster while using his breather. On its own, I'm not sure how crazy that would be, but it's stacked with his sub-roll bruiser, which allows him to move faster while he's below half health, which was just crazy movement for such a fatty. They gave Winston 50% more damage to deployables, which I think is good because he wasn't really in a good spot, and that is one of his weaknesses. For Ryan, they added a separate setting for his Shield Bash perk, which both of my friends are very excited about. They made Onran a bit better and Vendetta and Emre a bit worse, which I think was needed. They nerfed Sombra a bit, which is wonderful because as far as I'm concerned, they could just remove her from the game completely. They made Brig a bit better, which I don't think was necessary. For Kiri, they did the classic, oh, we're gonna nerf the character. No, we're not. I think they're afraid because one of the dubs really likes Kiri and there's a big fan base for Kiri, but honestly, I think she needs some sort of nerf and I don't know if she's gonna get it anytime soon. Ana's nade cooldown has been decreased from 14 seconds to 12 seconds. Although for Ana, I'm typically biased, at first I was a little confused on why they did that, but with the removal of the support passive and with how dependent she is on nade, like they said in the patch notes, I think it's a good idea. Also, mid-season Ana Mythic, she already has 2. I was like, she's getting another one. Whoa! I'm gonna clean up this video by adding a few extra details besides characters. I recently played the new and improved Antarctica map. I was pleasantly surprised. It was more colorful and less open, which allows for more enjoyable gameplay in riskier plays. My favorite non-patch part of this update is the reintroduction of player cards. I hated that they ever got rid of them. They also added match chat, which I haven't had much experience with so far, but considering Blizzard has become much more serious about a non-toxic environment, you'd think they'd stray away from this idea completely. Well, that's about all I wanted to talk about. Here's how everything turned out. I hope you have a great day. Please comment what you think about the new season, and thank you so much for watching.